What was the weirdest question a non-Tibetan has ever asked you
Oh,
about you being
man.
a lama?
Are you like Kung Fu Panda?
Oh my God.
Are you gonna fight like the Shaolin monks?
You say yeah, right?
I just go along with it. I don't even try to argue. I'm like, yes, I do that. I'm the Kung Fu Panda, Dragon Warrior, okay? And yes, I fight like the Shaolin monks. I like to embrace it instead of argue with it.
Welcome to Out of Tibet. My name is Tayap Namri Songsen Lindop. What's it like to be an 18-year-old reincarnated Tibetan Lama from Minnesota in the US who just finished high school this year and loves the Atlanta Falcons like it was his second religion? You're about to find out. My guest is Jalue Dorje, also known as Taksham Rinpoche. He was just 4 years old when the Dalai Lama officially recognized him as a reincarnation. Just imagine sitting there with all these high lamas before you can even tie your own shoes. We talk about his daily sacrifices, devoting his life to religion. Man, a lot of early mornings and no rest on the weekends. At the same time, trying to be kind of a normal teenager who loves playing American football and video games, like I did when I was younger. If you've ever wondered what a teenager Tibetan Lama in 2025 is really like, what he values, what his challenges are, and his simple advice to just be a good person, do not skip this one. Before we begin, I'm doing this podcast in my own free time, and there's quite a lot of work and costs involved, so I would be grateful if you would support me financially. Please take a look at the show notes for how to do so. You probably don't know, I really like watching American football, and since I'm the quarterback of this podcast, I'm saying, blue 80, white 80, Himalaya right, showtime, do it, hot. So let's say you meet somebody who doesn't know anything about Tibetan Buddhism. So how would you explain who you are to that person?
Myself,
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to put it is the system of the popes. You know what I'm trying to say? So the pope, you have the pope, and we put that as the Dalai Lama. Obviously, that's our pope. The rest you have cardinals or, a lot of other stuff. And, that level I'll put like Satyakomas and the Karmapas. It's important as Buddhists or just people in general to think, all lamas or all teachers are one. The emanation of the Buddha. That's important to have. But, that's sort of the way I put it.
Where did you grow up? You're in Minnesota, right?
Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota, born and raised. As of now, I'm probably the only Rinpoche to be born and raised in Minnesota.
People talk now American English. I always wonder if you can really tell people apart from the dialect. Like if somebody came from LA, do you think would you be able to tell?
So I think like just it's like when you live super far up or down on the map, then you can notice it. This place called Duluth, all the way up north, they kind of have like Minnesota, they have their own. And someone down in Texas, they might have their own thing. So there's like, this guy's living on the farm. So soda is, it's like the super like emphasis on the. I noticed something. I had a friend tell me they went to what was it called? It was a Sarah pull-up is just for Tibetan. It's sort of like a summer camp. And they're like, there's Tibetans all over from the world, from the United States, and there's some from London. And it's so funny speaking to them because they turn on their switch for like the way they speak, and they're like, oh, how we doing today?
That is so funny you say that because every time I meet a Tibetan abroad, let's say I meet somebody in Taiwan, we'll be talking in Tibetan, Marabe. I mean, it'll just be Tibetan. And Sunday, and then Sundays, they'll be talking Chinese to somebody. It's so, not weird in the sense of weird. It's just, okay. How would you describe Minnesota?
Minnesota. So it's like, it can get super hot in the summer when it wants to be hot. And then in the winter, it can get as cold as it wants to be. So,
it's like really cold,
also,
like snow and blizzard.
Really cold. But then not only that, it's like, it can get really cold one day and then really hot the next day. But one thing we've noticed recently now is a lot of rain. Especially in the summer, but also in the winter for some reason. So it was like January and then February, and then we had like rain. We're prepping for Losar, and then all of a sudden it's raining. I'm like, what?
but like real serious rain, not just a drizzle.
It's not like boom, boom, boom. Nothing like the ones we just had. It's like you're not expecting rain in this type of a season. It's so weird, but it's a really emotional weather. It can get super bad, but it's okay at times.
I find that more interesting than, let's say, the weather in Singapore. The weather is just always the same. It's always warm until there are no seasons. Some people like that, but I find that kind of boring because I like the seasons. The changing of time, I like that actually. It's just...
I like autumn because that's when usually school starts, right? So everyone's sort of in the school spirit. Well, that's when I was in school.
Yeah.
No, guys,
You're off.
I'm getting there, but like, that's when the football team, soccer team, everyone's playing, right? All the school's buzzing, and then you have like the school events like homecoming and I don't know if you know that stuff, but football games, at schools, everywhere schools, and then you get to like winter and you're like, you want to hang out today? It's like,
God, it's too cold, man. It's too cold.
It's too cold. I just don't wanna,
I've been to the States. Went to San Diego for half a year as a high school student. I was a junior back then.
Okay.
So I know a little bit. I've not been to homecoming and these things.
Yeah.
But obviously California, San Diego, I guess it's different than Minnesota. I have no real connection to Minnesota apart from, I'm going to say something which might be a little weird. No one plays American football in Germany. I mean, pretty much.
Yes.
Some people do, but it's not as popular as in the States. But I love watching NFL. It's just, I don't know.
Really?
I really love watching it.
Since when? There's no way.
For so many years. It's strange. And it's picking up in Germany nowadays. It's becoming really trendy. So
that's awesome.
Thinking, Minnesota Vikings. Okay, yeah. These kind of things. But maybe we'll be talking about later on because you have a football background, right?
I do. I have, my favorite team is the Atlanta Falcons. Just some trading cards I got.
That's tough. That's
the Falcons. So I think they play in Germany next year.
Hold on. Why is Atlanta? Because Atlanta's from Georgia.
I couldn't tell. I actually have no idea. Like second grade, doesn't
make sense because you have Minnesota.
Doesn't make sense at all. It's couldn't tell you. And then a lot of them are Minnesota. Some of them are like Pittsburgh fans. Pittsburgh is like a while away.
Yeah.
And then you have like Wisconsin, which is not that crazy. Like the most random ones definitely got to be me though. Like Atlanta is just so random.
And there's no reason.
No reason. I just second grade maybe.
You should ask your parents. Maybe your mother, your father gave you like a cup with a flag.
Maybe they gave me.
That's my team.
No, I mean, so I just kind of have. I like the Falcons. I have like the Atlanta Hawks jerseys just in my room. Falcons jerseys hanging up on my room.
What was your upbringing like, apart from becoming a Atlanta Falcons fan?
Right. So I'll say this: the easiest way to put it was this. During big events, right?
Yeah.
Most of the other kids would be out playing outside, the Chigang, the Togang, and I would be up sitting with the lamas. I'm sitting up there with the chief guests, all the monks from our state, and my friends are running. They're running out, indoor, outdoor, they're chasing.
What was that like? You were pretty young, right?
Yeah, but...
How young were you then? Like 3-4 years old?
When I was recognized, I would be around 4. That
was when you were recognized?
That was like the private audience I had with the Dalai Lama. That's when you did the hair cutting ceremony for me.
Yeah.
But around then, maybe starting from 4, and then, as much as I see my friends going around, I was never like, I'm missing out so much, I just sort of was like the way I was brought up.
I guess you just got used to it, I guess, right?
Yeah, I wasn't too disappointed with it. Yeah, used to it.
Did you find it strange, though, sitting there now as a 4 or 5-year-old amongst all these probably older... respected Rinpoches or other lamas?
Never like strange. It was always more like my parents, they would always tell me, now you were recognized, now you have the Dalai Lama, right? And he's the head of all Tibetans in the world, head of all Buddhists, someone people look up to, you can't bring that name to shame.
The head of compassion.
Buddha of compassion. So, that's sort of how it is. That's sort of how it was.
So you were born into it, you were recognized?
For like 3 years of my life, actually, I was actually just a regular kid.
You probably don't remember what life was like when you were 3, right?
I don't, but, maybe if I went back, I would remember. Then you got to 4, that's when the lamas were like, dang, this kid's a lama.
There's something going on with this guy.
And I know. That's basically what it was.
Do you remember that process? What was the first time you remember there's something different with me, being a recognized, reincarnated Lama, and not like the other kids, maybe.
A lot of stuff I actually don't remember too much, but a lot of stuff that happened, as a kid, being recognized, I would read about later, or, my parents would, or my family would tell me,
Sure.
this happened, that happened. Then I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, maybe that probably happened. I could have so just recently, my dad was telling me that photo in Wisconsin, so we're lining up outside the room for His Holiness's room. And, one of the employees, he's like, yo, just wait a little bit, So we're waiting out there. And then all of a sudden, His Holiness raises like the door curtain. He's like, come inside. What are y'all waiting for? Where are you? So that was like a fun. I laughed super hard hearing that, but I didn't have memory of that one, at least.
Yeah, sure.
My mind is, sometimes I hear stuff and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's no way.
That was me?
That was me. I did that. I mean, this happened for me. A lot of stuff is written in like books or online.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll look through that stuff, and sometimes I might find some new information.
What's your family like in general? Are your parents like very religious?
My dad's super religious. He was a monk at Jalue Rinpoche in Nepal. He was a really close attendant and a really close student to him, and he's had like 16 years of experience in a monastery. He's been the teacher. He's been the Geku, sort of the guy who disciplines all the students.
Oh yeah.
So
with
he's
stick,
there.
yeah?
He's
With a stick.
Yeah, stick. Yeah, he's there. Yeah, so he's had a lot of experience, with that stuff. He's received a lot of teachings from so many esteemed Buddhist lamas, and even the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, he says, "Rinpoche Rinpoche is my teacher." So my dad has had so much opportunities to practice and get teachings from so many good lamas and teachers. So now he's able to teach me what he's learned. And, my dad's super religious, and my mom, she got into it more. So, she's more on the super cultural side.
Okay.
But she's also religious. And yeah, so the whole family's religious. Everyone, my grandma, they're all great. So,
do you have siblings?
I'm the only one.
All right, okay. So your real name is Jalue Dorje, right? What do friends call you, actually? They call you Rinpoche?
No. They call me Jalue. Rinpoche would probably be more of like a name to poke fun. A name to like, oh, Rinpoche, what are you doing, man?
Hey,
like,
I was just thinking.
Come on,
whenever your parents get upset, what do they call you?
They just call me Jalue. Like, it's a strict.
They always call you Jalue. Okay, they never say Rinpoche to you.
No, not in private. They're always Jalue.
My father's also reincarnated and recognized Lama.
Yeah.
I mean, I would always call him Bala, and
yeah,
I've never ever called him with his first name. It would be so weird if I called my father or my mother with a first name. It has never come across my lips. That name.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I've never called my dad or mom by their first name.
Imagine that was so
That'd
strange.
be crazy.
You could actually do this like social media thing when students approach the teachers and they use the first names, right?
The first name.
So actually, you could do that with Tibetans. You're going up to your parents.
That'd be so.
And then use the first name.
That'd be so funny. A lot of trends. I feel like if we did our Tibetan parents, I feel like they'd have such funny reactions to them. But I'm just like, I don't know if I would be willing to take that risk doing it.
Okay, there's an embarrassing story I have to share with you.
Oh,
there was this list of names many years back, and there was a surname on the list of participants of a tour. Now, it was a family tour. I was looking at the name Surnam. I was like, who's Surnam? No, I don't know anyone who's called Surnam. And then my sister said, or my father, I don't remember. So, that's your grandmother. I didn't know.
That's actually crazy.
I didn't even know
my
her
grandma's
name.
also named Surnam.
I didn't even know her name because I would always just say Mola, which means grandmother in Tibetan, right? Yeah. So Surnam didn't ring a bell. I was like, so Surnam,
Yeah, but what? One thing that was helpful at the time, as a kid, there's a weird fascination when I was like 3 or 4. I really liked memorizing everyone's name and then memorizing their phone numbers.
Ooh, you did that?
So as my family, like uncles and aunts and like grandmas. So for like the 2-3 year stretch where I would just like really like know everyone. Like, my parents would come on, what's Uncle Noodle's number? I'll be like, 763, and they give him the number. And then, so that sort of helped me, A lot of other times growing up half, as a Lama, but also treated as like just a regular part of the family, treated as like a regular kid. My parents went to work. It's not like they mooch off of whatever. So they go to work and I would have to sit at my grandma's house. So 5, 6 in the morning, I get there, and then I'll spend the day with my grandma and aunts, growing up as like in a regular life. On the weekends, waking up before school, then, all comes to studying.
Yeah.
After school comes to studying scriptures, prayer. So that's sort of like...
Was that every day?
Every day, every single day.
So what was your daily schedule like at school?
I can't even talk about high school memories anymore. It just seems so long ago. It's so bad. So elementary,
Yeah, so first grade, right? So we're like 6, 7.
Yeah, 6, 7. So 1st to 5th grade, school started around 7:40. That's when I got used to waking up at like 6 o'clock. But, it was rough. 6:10 to 7:30 would probably be the morning prayers, or morning studying, or morning memorizing.
On your own, or who was helping you?
With my dad. My dad would do so much of it, a lot of every day. A lot of the prayers I have memorized was from that time. And then, so kindergarten to 5th grade would probably be around that schedule. And, I also had teachers, a lot of teachers, so many tutors, like Tibetan tutors, and American tutors, they taught me stuff too, but they taught me Tibetan history, Tibetan grammar, Tibetan calligraphy, writing in Tibetan, so much of that. Coming home from school, I would have homework regarding calligraphy or history or whatever, or my nightly prayers, So one thing my dad did was, I was just recently remembered by this, so it's so adorable. He would, a lot of times he would, during his break, right, he would be on the phone with me, and he would be in like the bathroom or whatever, and he would be like, "Can you recite the prayers I taught you from this morning?" And I'm doing all my prayers, and then so it would be so much of that. And then not only that, what really helped me get in my nightly prayers was my dad also recording prayers on my iPad. So he would do the full prayers for like the longest time ever. I was, every night before I went to bed, I would just read with the iPad, and the same exact thing. So I have so much prayers memorized, and that's thanks to my dad.
Was that fun for you?
Maybe at first it was struggling, but my dad, he's so experienced with teaching. So, he found a way to, make it fun, I guess. It wasn't easy for either of us, though. He's going to bed late from work, and then he's coming home and waking up early to teach me, so I'm really grateful for that. But, that would probably be like elementary, and then the summer vacation.
3 months, right? That's pretty long.
3 months, usually you would think it's just
summer camp.
No, he would
chill out.
No, nothing like that. He would probably wake me up.
Full Rinpoche mode.
He would wake me up at 7 every day on the clock.
Come on, no,
7
it's
a.m.
holidays. I mean, you must.
It's holiday.
You're like, Dad, bala.
I've never said that. He'd wake up, maybe around 6th or 7th grade. When he called me, he'd be like, "Hey, it's 6:30." I'll be like, in hopes he would be like, "Okay, it's fine. Just go back to." I forgot Saturdays. Saturdays was probably my most busy day. Wake me up, busiest for like 7 years. Saturday was probably the busiest. He'd wake me up at 7 o'clock, do my prayers for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then he would take me to swim lessons.
Swimming?
My dad would take me to swimming, yeah. Well, not lessons, swimming, just swimming at the gym. And swimming for like 2 hours. And then I would come home, and then I would have to go to Chinese school. And that'd be until 3 o'clock.
Oh, so you learn Chinese as well?
I didn't learn much. I was just goofing off. For like, until like 5th grade, I went there. It was like a Saturday school, so I didn't learn like insane amounts, So in the span of like 6 hours, I've already done prayers, memorization, scripture reading, gone swimming, and then Chinese school.
I mean,
and then
cool
whatever after that.
That's such a cool
It's such a random combination, but that's what I did. But Saturdays, that's sort of how it went. And then, back to summer, right? Summer, he wake me up at 7, and a lot of times, so many times, the prayer session would go until 11 or 12 in the noon. Or he might have been like, stop at 11. Eat breakfast, go back until like 1 or 2. So, I'd say this, like just maybe like a month ago, I might have slept the most I've ever in my life. And that was until like 10:30. Yes.
10:30? That's crazy, 10:30.
Yes. I have people waking up on the daily at 10:30, and I did it for the first time ever. And I'm like, my best sleep of my life. I feel like I've been here for like 20 hours. I check my phone, it's like 10:26. I'm like,
are you a person who goes to bed early? Are you good with that?
I go to bed like late, and that's like every night. But that night specifically, I might have just dozed off at like midnight, and then it was I don't know how Oh yeah, it's because I was home alone. I woke up and I got to start slower. A lot of times when I'm home alone, it's like something in my brain will like just flip, and it's like, just wake up early, do your prayers, and then you have the whole like until like 3 or 4 when your parents come back. Just do whatever you want, video games, just go play ball with your friends or whatever you want. Right? That day, I don't know what came across me. It just felt so nice, so nice.
So, but religion obviously plays a huge part in your life, and you do your prayers, and you probably learn new, texts as well, I guess, every single day.
That's true. That's really every day I do my best to learn something at least. Learning, you never stop learning, whatever it is.
Hey, what's the Tibetan community vibe like in Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean it's ever growing, right? So nowadays, it's you go to a graduation party, you'll not see the same faces you would see like 10, 15 years ago. So many more people, not even 10, like maybe even 5 years ago.
It's becoming more Tibetans, is it?
And way more Tibetans. So, you have the spike, you have more social media influencers on, Tibetans, right? They're like, oh, Minnesota this, Minnesota that. And now everyone's just sort of flocking to Minnesota or flocking to New York.
Why Minnesota? It can't be the Vikings, right?
No, there's no way. They never win. I'll say for the Vikings Falcons game, I got to go to the sideline. So I was on the sideline.
You were there?
Sideline pass. I was on the sideline. That's a great game. I got to meet some of the players. Great Falcons, great game. But they lost. But it was definitely a vibe. I couldn't hate. Where was I going with this?
Yeah, but why were there so many Tibetans coming to Minnesota?
I don't know. I think it was just like a big, close, tight-knit population from the start, from the jump. You have the 1,000 Tibetans coming to the United States, thanks to His Holiness and the Central Tibetan Administration. A lot of them came to Minnesota, but I think Minnesota just sort of took off. It was like a spark. Everyone was so tight-knit. That was a great part.
Yeah, I saw this photo on Facebook. There was this Tibetan cultural school. And I tried to count how many kids there were. It was impossible to count it. I would say like 80 to 100. And there were all these only the young ones, I guess. So there must be many.
That was just the young ones. I was just talking to the Tibetan American Foundation president. She said maybe 200 kids. There's more kids than the building can allow.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I'll say that. So I love it though. Culture's growing. Tibetan, not only is this culture, they start off every class with a prayer, every session with a prayer. And that's, makes me really happy to see, there's kids, you wouldn't expect them to start saying a lot of stuff, They start pulling stuff about like Songsen Gambo.
Yeah.
And, they start pulling up just random history facts. And I'm like, oh, where did you learn that? And they're like 4 or 5. And they're like, oh, Tibetan school. I'm like, oh, it's great. Man,
I mean, it's a great opportunity as well to have all these Tibetans in one place. I mean, so Minnesota is so many.
It's a good community, and I've gave pizza and cupcakes, and me being a Lama from Minnesota, I feel like it's a duty to sort of get closer with the community. That's a big part of my purpose.
Did you feel that purpose? I mean, even when you were younger, or when did that start developing?
I think more of it awakened in me, sort of, as I aged and sort of as, more news articles came out. And, I was formally enthroned in 2019. So much stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say?
So you probably really hit you as in, okay, now.
It hit me. It's getting real. And, now, months are closing down and I'm sort of like, dang, this is really, my life. A lot of times in my childhood, elementary, middle school, even in high school, growing up, I was just like, monastery. We'll get to that when we get to that. We got to worry about this school year, this football season, this whatever. We'll get it over with. We'll do it, and now it's like 2 months away.
2 months away, as in, are you going to go to monastery in 2 months?
I'm going to monastery. I'm staying there and studying. Yeah, so that always seemed like a fantasy to me. It was always something I always pushed back. But
so where's your head at right now? So thinking about it, 2 months.
Where's my head at? Is enjoy all the time I can with my family and friends. I won't see them for a while.
So, but you're going to India, right?
India, yeah, India.
Okay, where to in India?
Dehradun, you know Dehradun?
Dehradun, yeah.
So that's sort of where my head's at. Enjoy football. I hope when I come back, I'll still have like my love for football. I have so much love for football. I think my 2 biggest things in life are religion and football. I wish I would, I really wish I don't lose my passion for football. I have so much trading cards. They're just stacked to the side. They're literally just on my drawer. So I wish I don't lose my love for football.
It's going to be a huge change, right? It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a huge change, but there are some points where I can be like, oh, 5 years is going to blow by.
So it's going to be 5 years?
Well, it's going to be somewhere around there. It's not necessarily stuck to 5. This doesn't have to be shorter. It doesn't have to be longer. It's just however long, study-wise, right?
Yeah. Would you say that you're a studious kind of guy? I mean, do you like the routine?
I would say I could be studious when I want to be studious. I'm just super, what's the word for like last minute? I forget. Procrastinate. I'm really good at procrastinating. It's really bad. One thing I did at my school was I left all my assignments up until the end of the quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And like 2 nights before like the end of the quarter, I would just zoom through them. It'd be like 7 hours of work total, but I would just zoom through all the assignments and get it all done with.
And I bet every time you said, this is not going to happen next time. Next time I'm going to start earlier. And what happened next time?
And next time I'll just be like,
I mean, it happened with
end
me.
of the quarter. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Why am I in this place again? Yeah. Why?
I mean, the thing was, I really liked the end result.
Yeah.
I really liked getting it all done. And if I didn't get it done, then I'd be like, oh crap, I'll bring it up to bed. I'll do it then. If not, I'll just, 4th hour, 3rd hour tomorrow, I'll get it done, maybe before lunch or whatever. But,
was it like the thought in your head that you said, hey, maybe I'm not going to do high school or not finish high school, instead go to India before? Was that an option in your head or with your parents even?
I don't think it wasn't nothing too crazy because, His Holiness, he recommended I should stay here until I was just 10 years old. Not even 10th grade, 10 years old.
Okay, and then you should have gone to India.
And then he said, best case scenario, probably go to India then. His exact words were, can't, without knowing English, you won't, you say tame in Tibetan, right? It's impossible to flourish. It was a big wish of my parents for me to graduate high school. So it was just then and there, we're neck deep already, might as well just get it over with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we stuck with the plan to graduate.
Finish what you started, right? What was school like? I mean, for all these, did your friends in the beginning know who you are?
They knew who I was. They called me a lot of, the Dalai Lama was most common name they could give me. But I couldn't hate, they're not gonna understand. When I moved to my new school senior year, I was trying to keep it super down low. I tried to keep it under wraps. I didn't want nobody to know. I literally told myself, I said, I'm going to be known as Jalue Dorje and not Taksham Rinpoche or a Lama or whatever they're going to say. Man, was I wrong? Around November, that's
quick.
They came out with an article, Associated Press, Star Tribune, whatever it was, they came out with the article on me and that just spread everywhere. It went on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Yeah.
It went on Facebook and then, no, man.
What was that first day like after that? What was that like?
First day, I think my DMs were just, bro, what are you doing on here, bro? What is this? Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah.
JD, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on? I was like, oh, whatever, man. It's fine. I'll embrace it now. And then maybe like 2-3 months later, I was like, I don't care anymore. Yeah. They know me for me, right? They know me for being the.
And people get used to that, right?
People get used to it. Yeah, they can call me. They can call me Lama. They can call me, in a loving way. They can call me whatever, But at the end of the day, they're all used to it.
I mean, you seem super approachable, right? Super friendly stuff. Yeah.
People tell me that.
You ever talk with your friends about Tibet? Do they ask questions?
I was in 1st grade and I had a really close friend. His name was Guta Temesgen, right? And it's so funny. I haven't seen him since 1st grade. I literally haven't seen him since 2nd grade came around. I was like, oh, where's Guta? You don't talk to people over the summer in elementary. I'm like, oh man, Guta, my dog. And he moved. I never saw him again after. But then St. Anthony, like my new high school graduation, all of a sudden my friend comes up to me. He's like, do you remember this kid named Guta? And I'm like, there's no freaking shot. And me and Guta, oh man, great hug, great photos, whatever. But one thing I remember about Guta was in 1st grade, he would just ask me so much questions about Tibet. How does Tibet work? Tibet, oh, you guys have the Dalai Lama. Oh, you guys also have a president. Oh man, that's so cool. You guys don't have a country, but everyone's so, everyone's so tight-knit. That's the most I remember talking about Tibet regarding around that type of stuff. But also, my junior year of high school, I wrote an article in my school newspaper about Tibet, which had won national awards and an award in Minnesota. So maybe those 2 times I remember talking about Tibet at least. But, I do my best to advocate. I do my best to spread the knowledge, spread the word about Tibet. I don't just go up to one of my friends and be like, oh,
No, Tibet, yeah.
they're putting over 1 million kids in boarding schools. That isn't just, if it pops up in the conversation, I will. If people are sharing stuff on social media, I'm like, my goodness, I can't just sit there and then I post about it.
You ever wanted to be a regular teenager or like anonymous? Because that would be different.
Never like fully, but the wanting to be an astronaut around like age 9 was at an all-time high. So I'll say that.
Okay.
I learned a lot of stuff about space and science during that time. It was probably just another phase. I've had so many phases in my life where, might be like a historical event or like something might have happened, like World War II, World War I, American Revolution, Civil War, so many wars I've been like fascinated with. And then like the Titanic. And then you have space, so many phases in my life. Those sort of shaped me to be who I am. But I hope this football thing isn't just a phase. I really like it. It's really good.
Hey, I got a football as a Christmas present from my kids.
Oh, that's awesome. That's adorable. Oh man, I should send you stuff. Are you a Vikings fan or what fan are you?
I like quite a few, the Commanders, because I've been to Washington quite regularly. I like the Chargers because I went to high school in San Diego for half a year, but also the Colts, supporting the underdog. And I kind of like the Detroit Tigers actually because of their nitty gritty.
I love Detroit. It's my team. I actually just bought 3 new Detroit trading cards. Just to have in my room, just to have it, This is so funny. A lot of people like to trade, that it's in the name, trading cards. But I just really love just having them up. They're like tankas for me. I love having them. I just frame them, so.
Hey, a random question. Do you like sumo?
Sumo, I haven't gotten into it, but this seems really cool.
I'm big on sumo, and they don't do trading cards, but I just bought this handprint from one of the best sumo wrestlers right now. He's the Yokozuna Onosato, and I'm going to put it up here in my room.
My goodness. That's awesome. One thing I didn't realize about sumo wrestlers are they're so strong.
Yeah, sumo wrestlers are huge, but they're so agile. They even do splits.
Agile, yes. Oh, jeez Louise. Michael Parsons? I don't know if you know Michael Parsons. He's a Cowboy player, Hall of Fame already. Big time, Michael Parsons. He went up against some sumo guy. He's going full force. He's bull rushing. And then the sumo guy's just like, he's like laughing and stuff. I'm just like, there's no way. There's just no way. It's insane. I don't know how they're able to do it.
I saw this YouTube of sumo guys, eating mind-blowing amounts of food. Just crazy.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen trying to feed sumo wrestlers. I've seen all the funny videos. It's so awesome. It's like,
yeah, I think enough of sumo. Let's jump back to you. Have you ever had any doubts about being a lama?
I think with the fact that I was always had in mind that I was recognized by such highly lamas. You have His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and first, whatever he says goes, literally. He's all-knower of everything, the king of Buddhism. He recognized me to be a lama. Not just any lama, past lives, the 5th Dalai Lama was really close with the first Taksham Rinpoche. I, always had in mind that, I was recognized by such great lama, like Satya Khoma Rinpoche, both Satya Khomas, and then Tushi Rinpoche, and then Ngarji Kamdru Rinpoche. So it's not just like any lama recognized just me to be some any guy. It's just these highly esteemed, highly acclaimed lamas. They recognize me to be, a Rinpoche, a Tuku. So I believe, a Rinpoche name, it's important to preserve the Tuku lineage, preserve the teachings, preserve the Buddhist doctrine, and not put the name to shame. There was no room for doubt. Yeah.
Do you think that everybody should believe in religion?
Religion. Everyone doesn't have to be religious, but what Buddhism says is it's not necessarily up to your own choices. You can make your own choices, obviously, but a lot of your future, your fate, whatever, we call it le, like lasa le. It's already set in stone what you're meant to do. If you're not religious, you don't have to be. A lot of Westerners who are into Buddhism especially Tibetan Buddhism, they have their own karmic connections with Buddhism, right? They view religion as something that's awesome. It brings a lot of people peace and a lot of people joy. You know, in the end, everyone has the same goal. Everyone has the same sort of system for religion, whether they be Abrahamic religions or Buddhist or however it may be. No one strives for war. Religion is meant for peace. I always think it's great. Even in the Buddhist text, it says, you know, respect other religions. You know, you never know how a bodhisattva can appear to people to liberate them. So I view religion as awesome.
A problem is when religion is being used to divide us people into different groups. They might even fight each other because of religion. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no, it's not religion's fault. Not at all. It's terrible. But it's always like you're carrying a super stern mindset going into something. I'll quote my favorite rapper, Lil Baby. He said, "It's bigger than black and white." I'll say this, Lil Baby, either it was last February or this February, he popped out on social media and, you know, what he wore was a fit. It had said Tibet on it. It was so awesome. I was like, there's all the Tibetan, you know, just search up Lil Baby Tibet on Google and you literally see him. All the, you know, Tibet Today, all the Tibetan Instagram accounts are all posting it. And I'm like, that's my rapper. That's my dog.
And you're now 18 years old, right?
18, yep. 18. Yeah. Still a teenager.
That means you're a very young reincarnation living in the West. What's it like when you meet another reincarnated Lama who's older?
Formal, yes. And you know, you want to do your best to keep we call it tamsik, right? You want to keep the karmic connection between the teacher and the student really clean. So, you know, whatever it is, you know, even just a kada or an envelope or, you know, a bowl of fruit or some milk or Indian grocery store cookies, right? It's to keep the connection between the teacher and the student good. So I like to do that. I like to do my best on that part. It's pretty formal, but nowadays, if the Lama I'm meeting is, you know, way older, you know, a lot of times they'll give me advice. They'll give me, you know, make sure you study good, make sure you do this, make sure, you know, you want to help all beings in the world, right? So a lot of stuff, a lot of advice.
Have you ever met any like young reincarnations, like a young Lama?
I have not. That's the funniest part. No, I haven't. I haven't met no reincarnated Lamas younger than me as of right now. Oh, I have. The Lama who recognized me, his name is Taksham Rinpoche. You might have heard of him. He passed away. And then his reincarnation, study at the same school, Middle Lake Monastery. So I went there for the summer, and then, you know, we have a Anila here. She was a nun at Taksham Rinpoche's monastery, and, you know, she's really close with his attendant. So there's some silly photos of me and him. And, you know, when I went there, I might have been like 13, and he's like 6. He's like 6 or 7. So, you know, we're taking funny photos on my dad's phone, and, you know, that might have been the only young Lama I've met as of now.
And now you're meeting all these different people. Now, and you being a Lama, I assume many people come up to you and ask you questions or advice. Does that happen?
Not much, but a lot of people, they might ask for prayers, ask for, you know, protection. Like Rabne, you know Rabne, and then bless their house, you know, bless the family, you know, stuff like that. Or, you know, a family member passed away, can you please come and pray for the family? Stuff like that.
I was hoping you were going to talk about like divinations or things like that, because I always find that so interesting when they ask you for... in Tibet you say Mojib, right?
Yeah, Moja. My dad's better on that than me. Oh, the divination. That's a good word. I always call them predictions.
What was the weirdest question a non-Tibetan has ever asked you about you being a Lama? Like, do you have any special powers or things like that? Because some people have these certain ideas of Tibet as a super holy place, and all Tibetans are holy anyways.
I think it's the most funniest, most common, and most strange question, all three at once. Are you like Kung Fu Panda?
Oh my god.
That might be the funny. The second one might be, are you gonna fight like the Shaolin monks? So those are the top two. Funny. I'll say that.
And what do you say? What do you say? You say yeah, right?
I just go along with it. I don't even try to argue. I'm like, yes, I do that. I'm Kung Fu Panda, Dragon Warrior, okay? And yes, I fight like the Shaolin monks. I like to embrace it instead of argue with it. There's no point, right?
You know, and I was like 6, 7 years old on the playground, and other kids asking me, because I was the only non-white looking kid on the playground, because I grew up in a very white environment in Western Germany in the 80s. So they would ask me, so So you do for karate, right? Kung Fu. And I would just always say, yeah, of course, I know.
Of
Because
course,
I know they were not going to try and beat me up or anything.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Speaking about religion again, I did Tibetan studies at university as well.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about classical Tibetan or, just religion as well and things like that. I always thought it might be interesting if Tibetan Buddhism could adapt to new realities more. Not change as in let's put everything aside and do it differently.
Yes.
But do like a Tibetan Buddhism 2.0 or something. I mean, that actually applies to all religion.
I like that. That's my goal as well. I was raised with just a regular family, I would receive the teachings and then I would just go right back to my family and play video games or read books or whatever kids did.
What's your favorite games?
I like to play Madden. I like to play FIFA. Well, what it was called FIFA.
Is that on Switch or is that on
my Xbox, which is downstairs? But on this, I play like Valorant and whatever I feel like for the night.
Is Madden any good?
Madden's pretty good. Do you have a console? What do you play on?
I have a Switch.
Did you play the Madden? The Switch bread and butter, as we call it, is the Smash Bros.
Yeah, Smash Bros. But that's too confusing for me. It's just too fast.
Really?
Yeah,
I always thought it was so confusing. And then I played with, have you watched Tibetan YouTube videos? You would know about, Chimamen, the guy that records stuff.
No?
The guy that posts most stuff about Minnesota Tibetans, his name's Chimamen. We went to his house because he got a new house and, he's a family friend. And I'm downstairs with his son. He's like 7. And he's like, you want to play my Switch? Sure. And at that time, I knew about Smash Bros. I didn't know. I thought it was so complicated. It's so fast. It's so fast paced. And, I'm sitting there. I'm like, bro, I don't know how to play this. He's like, bro, just hit me until my thing just turns like 100 and then I die. And it doesn't matter. And then I started playing. I'm like, oh my goodness. How did this 7-year-old just explain this game so easily to me? So that's when I realized I might need to get a Switch soon.
Yeah, so Switch is more playful, I think. It's not as serious as other.
No, not competitive. Not competitive.
Yeah. Why do you like playing games? Does that calm you down? How does that feel?
I just always liked playing games. So there wasn't like a reason for it. It's just like a hobby I do. I think my favorite one might be like franchise rebuilds. So you get like a football or basketball team. You get to be the GM. You get to control how the team plays, sign your own players, do whatever.
That's fun. That's fun.
It's super fun. I really like doing that. Growing up from like 5th grade until 12th grade, until I graduated, literally the rule was I couldn't play from Monday to Thursday.
Oh, that's Friday super strict because you knew if you started, then the prayers are in danger.
Yeah, it would probably be bad. Yeah, if I played even like an hour or 2 video games, I would be significantly more tired in the morning. They always just said no. But now, the good thing was, when Friday rolls up, they weren't like, you can't stay up. They didn't say that. I'll be up until 2 or 3 playing whatever, screaming in the basement, screaming in my room. And they wouldn't even glance an eye because they knew I wouldn't play all week, which is one thing I appreciated a lot. So...
Right, but Football Manager, I used to love that. It was soccer, as you call it in the States. Yeah. And I used to love that. And my cousin and I, we used to play that for hours, for weeks.
It was so fun, yes.
From the morning, 8 until the evening. So we basically wasted our time, that's what I'm trying to say, okay? You were doing something.
But that's the best part about growing up, is wasting your time. Obviously, there's limits, but the limits are when you're an adult. The limits are when your knees start to hurt, when your back starts to hurt doing whatever. As a kid, you can go out, play 14 hours in a day. You wouldn't be as tired as going out and playing 2 rounds of basketball when you're 35.
That I agree with, but let's say you're like 13 or 14 and you really just literally play games all day long.
Okay, not like every single day is just insane. Like, you wake up and you just hop on the game. That's sort of crazy.
What's your view on people, us humans, even grown-ups, using the mobile phones excessively? I love my phone in the sense of I really like using it.
Yeah.
I know I'm using it too much.
I can't, it's okay because I use my phone a lot too. But I just think it's probably just social media, probably just staying in touch with people. Someone that I know could text me or could reach out to me. I think that might be it. So many reasons, to each their own, right? That's the beauty of life, nobody.
I saw that you don't post that much on your feed, right? You do some stories. Is there a reasoning behind that on Instagram?
We like to stay mysterious.
Okay, let me
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Every once in a while, I'll do a full total rebuild of my account. But a lot of times, just even recently, I posted about like basketball signings for my favorite team, and then all of a sudden I posted about the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so
keep him on the toes. Keep people on the toes.
Keep people on their toes. They'll never be expecting, right?
What's your understanding of happiness?
Happiness is, everyone strives for happiness, right? Everyone has their own version of happiness.
I mean, no one wants to be unhappy, right?
Exactly. That's another key thing about Tibetan Buddhism. No one wants suffering. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be whatever way that may be. And, the way we believe it is, we call it gewa, right? You give to others and you get back. That's just the circle. That's called lei. That's called, we call it karma. Right? That's something really important to think about. In a sense, happiness is just something that makes someone happy, right? However it may be, as long as someone enjoys it, that's happiness, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about it because of social media. We're talking about it. And social media sometimes, actually always shows people the happiest. Usually, right? You usually post something when you've done something great, or you're on holidays or whatever. That's normal, I guess. At the same time, us, the recipients, will look at that, and then there's sometimes even the question of envy. And I said, damn, I wish I was on holidays. I know that the person who's posting it doesn't mean anything bad about it.
That's true.
But the recipient suddenly has the responsibility of dealing with that information. And everything seems so glamorous and so great. I'm not saying anything new here, right?
When someone has social media, right, that's sort of, they signed up for it, right? You can't expect to join the army and be like, oh, there's war, oh my goodness, right? You signed up for social media knowing you're going to see... You signed up for
monastery, hey, there's religion.
Oh, there's prayers, no. Like, obviously it's going to happen, right? It's obviously... I get where you're coming from, though, right? There's a lot of, social media definitely influence a lot of things nowadays, but people signed up for it. You can't complain,
and you can always sign out.
You can always sign out. Just hold it and press delete. You don't have to.
You don't have to turn on the television. You don't have to turn on Netflix. You don't have to do it. You're a spiritual leader, or you're becoming one. Let's put it that way. You're going to India and getting really deep into it, even deeper.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be your hardest challenge? Where do you see the most room for improvement, you personally?
One thing, I'm nervous about, but also really forward to, because, because of my potential, right, is the studying part of itself. And there's so much to study. There's philosophy of Buddhism. And then when you, not just Buddhism, then you have Mahayana, which is where Tibetan Buddhism is. And then you have Theravada. And then you have the Nyingma Sajaka Jugelu and then Pembo and even, a lot of other stuff. Those philosophies themselves. I'm in the Nyingma lineage. You have a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to it because of the knowledge that I'm hopefully going to gain in these next few years, right? I'll come back way smarter with the better knowledge. But, it's also, I'm nervous about it. There's always the what if, things don't go as planned. I'm not soaking in as much education as I want to. But the thing about it is just to keep going, right? Your fate is what you make it out to be, the end.
More like a marathon.
Yes.
Continue the grind.
Keep it going.
In a good way, not in a bad way.
In a good way,
Things will develop and evolve.
My dad tells me all the time, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
Ooh, yeah, he sounds like a real strict teacher.
Yeah, it's true. Do you know Richard Sherman, the football player?
No, not sure, no.
He was on an interview with this guy named Skip Bayless. And
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless he has a reputation, and he's like, this guy named Darrell Revis, and Richard Sherman, they're like really good players. And then Skip Bayless is on the interview. He's like, "Do you think Darrell Revis is better than you right now?" And Richard Sherman looks at the camera and says, "I'm better than you." He's saying, if it's so easy, then how come then you come out and do it, right?
Exactly. I can already feel that you'll be bringing American football to India. Really,
I would hope so.
I'm expecting great things from you on that in that area. Yeah, bringing American football to India. Forget about cricket.
No, we don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, that's also what I'm looking forward to, is getting used to the culture. And I've heard
But you've been to India, yeah?
I've been to it, but I haven't like lived there, so I don't like fully know what I'm about to expect. But
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge there for you? I mean, not from a religious point of view, just more like general life.
the biggest problem would probably be that sports games would probably be way earlier than I would want it to be. It's gonna be like 6:30 in the morning, and then that's like exactly when class starts apparently. So that's definitely a bummer.
So you'll be watching all the summaries on YouTube, I guess. You know?
I think I'll be watching the highlights, but the highlights is not that bad. Not that bad.
I mean, I only watch the highlights because it's impossible for me to watch it live.
Yeah,
it's 2 or 3 in the morning, depending on what time they play,
that's true. That's true. I'll say one thing is all my favorite teams are starting to be relevant as soon as I'm about to leave for India. So that's one thing I'm pretty bummed out about. The Falcons, they're about to be top-notch players. They just had a great draft, great offseason, great players. Everyone's ready. The Hawks, my Hawks just signed great players. You saw it on my story. Great draft class. They're ready for a great season. Great offseason, signed great players. And then as soon as I'm about to leave, everyone on my favorite teams just decided to be amazing just this one year. So I guess we'll see when I come back.
I'm going to have to rename this podcast episode probably like First Take or something like that. I don't know.
First day, yeah, that's on me.
Yeah.
I've brought this so sports related, but I'll never give up an opportunity to conversate ball with someone that knows ball.
No. I don't really know ball. I just watch it.
You're familiar with this, so
yeah, it's just the basics, I guess. But
yeah.
before we wrap up, which kind of character trait do you value the most in
a person?
Yeah.
Just being a good person, compassionate, loving kindness. We have the 4 measurables. Love, joy, compassion, and equanimity. Just those 4 is enough to just change the life of anybody, right? If you view everybody as the same as yourself and then have compassion, you have loving kindness, you have joy around them, then it's good. The Dalai Lama, His Holiness, he said, right? He said, if you can't help him, don't hurt him, right?
Yeah.
It's important to just be a kind person. That's going to be my final message. You might see it on Instagram. The final post is going to caption is going to be, just be a good person.
It must be tough because people expect all these great answers from spiritual leaders.
Yes.
Yes. From you as well. And from the Dalai Lama, certainly. But I always wonder, if you need any advice,
yes,
who do you turn to in your life?
I turn to my parents, definitely. Or, my school best friend. His name's Koi Lee, my best friend since 2nd grade. Shout out my boy, or my cousin. His name is Delik Tobdyel. He's been my best friend, literally my best friend since I was a kid, since we were born, only 1 year apart. So definitely those 4, group of people. Just looking up advice too, right? Being at peace for me is, when a lot of times I'm reading about Buddhism and with fate and karmic connections lined up together, whenever I'm reading something, usually if I need advice on whatever it is, whatever I read during that time, it'll pop up correctly right there and then. I'm grateful.
So you turn to your parents and to your friends, but every now and then, I assume you must get angry as well. And we're not talking sports now, when your Falcons or your Hawks lose, right?
Yeah.
What makes you angry or what stresses you?
What makes me mad? Bad drivers. That's a half joke.
I kind of feel it as well. I kind of feel it.
You feel it, but it's important to think. I have this tendency.
When you drive a car, are you vocal?
I'm never like, what are you doing? I'm just like, I'm driving. Someone pops up. I'm like, okay, bro. The lane, but a lot of times I'm just like, they're also trying to get somewhere else. They're trying to drive somewhere. It's the road. It's the road. Anyone's for everyone. Even if that was a jackass move, it's all right. It's okay.
Sometimes just looking at the motorway or whatever, and I see all these thousands of cars, and I always think, where are you going?
Yeah, right. A lot of times I'm like, dang, I have my own life, but then everyone has their own life as well. So it's sort of like, what?
I mean, it sounds so simple, but we all do things, right?
Everyone does things, so much things.
But what are we doing sometimes? What are these cars going to?
It's like a whole circle. It's a lot of stuff I like to think about.
Hey, and when you go to India, when there's so many people there, I'll be going again this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every time, India is such an experience. But at the same time, I always think, It's crazy. All these people here. Have you been to Tibet?
I've not been to Tibet. Hopefully, in the near future, I'm looking forward to it. So,
You planning? You want to go?
I would hope so. Maybe one day. It's my homeland. I really like looking at Tibetan history. Maybe from like 1900s till whenever. But
What do you think Tibet is like nowadays? What do you envision it to be like?
I think people have certain privileges based on their social ranks. And I'm not talking about in the Tibetan community. I'm talking about in Tibet because of the system that has been put in place by the ruling Chinese government. You know, they're all for, we're communists, everyone's the same. But obviously, you know, when you have more wealth, when you have more power or influence that allows you to do more things, your family to do more things, you know, you have more of an influence around people. Hey,
They try to live their lives as well.
they try to live as happy as possible. But in the end, I know in my heart for a fact, every Tibetan in Tibet, with every blood vessel or every prayer, they wish to see the Dalai Lama at least once. Whether that be they go to the Dalai Lama or the Dalai Lama is with good karmic fate, he's able to return to Tibet someday.
I think that's a great way to wrap up this podcast. I think it's been not just insightful, it's been a lot of fun actually.
It's been a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
I also had this thought right now. If I still keep going with this podcast, which I hopefully do in 5 years, it will be interesting to talk to you again. You know,
I'll be back then.
What happened? You know, what happened with your Falcons? What happened with the Hawks? What happened with the Braves? I don't know.
I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna say Falcons won 3 Super Bowls. Happy from
No.
it's so funny. No, but if you're doing this in 5 years, I would be so happy. I want to see this take off. I'm really happy that you're doing this.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this Out of Tibet podcast. Before you leave, I want to let you know that I'm doing this podcast in my own free time, and I pay for all the equipment and software needed for recording or brushing up the audio. Therefore, it'd be great if you'd consider supporting me financially on my Patreon or PayPal, so I can continue making more free podcasts for you guys. Please check the show notes for all the details how to support this podcast financially. And if you don't happen to have any money to spare, I would love it if you'd subscribe, give this podcast 5 stars, left a positive review with Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are listening. Thank you very much in advance and hope to see you in Tibet.